All you sports fans out there, and welcome to the second part of Hot Seat for this week. We're joined by former U of M kicker Casey Lopata. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming in. So let's get started. Ex-Michigan quarterback Spate is no longer a Wolverine. He's going to UCLA. I'm not fond of UCLA. I don't know how they do and stuff like that. So I hope this is a good move for him. And I know with you being a Michigan guy, Eric,
it's just kind of one of those things, like kind of the NFL, what's going on in the NBA. Trades happen, guys sign other places. It's going to be kind of one of those moves. I don't know if it's going to benefit either school, but it'll surely change a few things.
Well, it should benefit Michigan in the way that they have Shea Patterson
bit.
from Mississippi. So
A little bit.
still, as a state guy, I'm not afraid. I know I'm not. You probably have all the confidence in the world with Michigan going into the next season.
You know, so at Michigan, we're always looking for championships, and we haven't had one in quite a while. But overall, I've been really pleased with the work Coach Harbaugh and his staff have done, and really excited to see how we're going to do this upcoming fall.
Yeah, do you think that they have what it takes to beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, and get to the Big Ten championship next year?
You know, so looking back on the tenure so far under Harbaugh, the one thing that has been incredibly consistent is the defense each and every year has been a championship level defense. Last year, I'm a little biased, obviously, being a Michigan guy, but you know, some of the other elements of our team weren't producing at the same level, and I'm very confident that every single person inside Schembechler Hall is going to be putting in the maximum effort this offseason, make sure we're prepared to really compete for a Big Ten championship and hopefully beyond.
Well, again, me being biased, I hope that they don't, because I'm on State, obviously, and I think State has a good enough team that they can get in it because they have Lewerke coming back, they have Scott coming back, they have great recruits coming in. D'Antonio actually did a good job this year of not taking the bad eggs as he did before with all the court cases and stuff like that. So I think State's going to make a run. It'll be interesting when they play each other this year in East Lansing. That'll be interesting. Hopefully it's a better game than it was this year when it was raining and snowing, and that wasn't a great game to watch.
Yeah, and there's one thing that I can certainly tell you is that no matter how those two teams come into that game, it's going to be a battle every year, no matter how good one is and perhaps how much the other one is struggling. There's one game that's going to be a battle till the end. It's going to be that Michigan State game.
Yeah, then they meet in the middle of October this year, so it'll be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. So the Browns made a move yesterday. They signed Jarvis Landry to a 5-year deal that pays him around $15 million a year. Too soon, I would say.
I think it's a little bit too soon. Right now, they're kind of making a lot of moves with their offense. I think they should start looking a little bit more towards the defense because they've got some guys that can play in the backfield, but I don't know how they're going to do up front on the line.
I don't either. Do you think it's too early for this, or do you think it's the right time?
Do what you got to do. I mean, they went 0-16, so I mean, anything looks good right now.
I mean, they're going all out for their offense, but like you said, they should target more defensive guys in the draft coming up. But still, they should probably take Saquon first and then take a defensive lineman, linebacker back first with their fourth pick. So we'll see what they do. And Seattle was supposed to host Colin Kaepernick, but they postponed it due to his stance on kneeling. Great move by Seattle. I'm kind of biased. I hope that he doesn't get signed by a team. If he wants to go Canadian, that's fine, but not to your own country to do what you've been doing the last couple of years. It's just disrespectful. So
I'm going to agree with that.
yeah. Besides, he wouldn't play anyway. Russell Wilson never gets hurt.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly he's okay.
Yeah.
It's just if he gets suspended for something dumb or not. I think that's what it's going to come down to if he doesn't play.
Yeah, you think they should have held him
I don't
for a
know.
workout?
I don't watch football until the Super Bowl, so I could care less.
Oh, that's how your fantasy draft works. Okay,
Yeah.
makes more sense.
And the Bengals, Vontaze Burfict's officially suspended for 4 games. The Bengals, I read this stat the other day, they have the most off-the-field conflicts of any team in the league. That says something about your franchise. I don't know if there's ever been a ton of incidents at Michigan, but looking at seeing all those suspensions for one franchise or program, it looks bad.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting into off-field problems. It's definitely not going to do your team or your franchise any good, no matter what level you're playing at.
Yeah, and little NBA discussion from a little bit more than what we did yesterday. MVP race. You think Harden's got this with clean sweep?
I don't know. I think Russ could go back-to-back just because he averaged a triple-double. And, I mean, has anyone else in the NBA ever done that before?
Oscar Robertson did it in the 70s.
He did back-to-back?
Yes.
So
yes.
So Russ is the first time since him.
Yeah, since like the 60s, yes.
So, I mean, Russ has that edge. But I'd like to see Harden win it because
He deserves it.
Yeah, he went off this year, and he did good last year. So it's pretty much just between those two.
LeBron doesn't have a chance then.
No. Even though it's just because of the struggles he had this season with the team and all that.
Yeah, the trades and stuff like that, as we said before. So, what do you like for MVP?
I think you got to go with Westbrook, like you were saying. He's not many people have ever averaged triple-double, let alone 2 years in a row. I think it speaks for itself.
Well, I'd like to see Harden win it, just because of their early exit last year in the playoffs, and he was an MVP, and now he's playing at that level. Him and when Chris Paul's actually playing, they played really good together. So I'd like to see Harden win it. And Defensive Player of the Year is it's tough. I don't know if Durant should win it. I don't think Durant deserves to win that.
I don't think Durant's going to get that one.
I think Gobert should get that.
Maybe.
I don't even know who plays defense in the NBA.
Well, that's why you don't see James Harden up for that award. So, and then Rookie of the Year, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I still think that Ben Simmons should win it over Donovan Mitchell.
If it was him last year, like if he actually played last year like this, yeah, he should win it. But just because, like, I don't know, I have that problem that like everyone knows he's gonna be good, but then he got injured, and the Sixers are like known for getting their rookies injured, so it's just like
curse.
I don't know. I don't think he should win Rookie of the Year, just because he just came out and he just killed it.
Yeah. Do you like Mitchell or Simmons for the Rookie of the Year?
So full disclosure, guys, I have not been following the NBA like I once did. After the Pistons started to tank after 5-6 games of having the big trade, I turned off on the year and switched to college basketball. And I know we'll be talking a little bit about that at some point, but yeah, I don't think I can give an educated opinion on that one.
Yeah. So, for our spring sports, baseball for yesterday, Frazier lost 8-5 against Lance Cruz. Do you know how they did? I know
It was pitching. Their pitching was terrible.
Was it?
Yeah, I heard their pitching just blew it. Then they couldn't hit either. I talked to all of them today. What?
Just a bad game overall?
Yeah, that's all they've been telling me. It's just a bad game. They couldn't hit, and they couldn't pitch. So.
It's early for us. It's early, but we got a lot more games to go. Tough division that we're in.
Yep.
So at least be thankful we're not in the back Reds. But then soccer for girls, they got Warren Regina tonight at home. Maybe they can win one game. Hopefully they can get their first win tonight.
They beat Regina last year.
Did they? I
beat
always
them
think that
1-0.
Regina is good.
They're supposed to be, but we beat them last year 1-0.
So hopefully we can do the same thing because, as we said yesterday, you're 0-2-1. So hopefully we can get that. And softball won 10-0 against Sterling Heights. I was looking at all the finals from the other day, and teams were blowing other teams out like 20-2. And how do you score so many
Jeez.
runs in high school softball? Like it's
Same thing as baseball. It comes down to pitching and hitting. Like, even though they're two different
Yeah.
sports, it's really the same thing. Like, if you want to have a good team, you got to have a team that can pitch, play defense, and that can hit. Not home runs like the Yankees, but like
Just get the ball.
you have to
around.
get on base.
yeah.
And
So-
I heard Sterling Heights really sucks. So
Yeah. So do you got any, speaking of more high school baseball, let's go up to the pros. You got any baseball from finals from yesterday? Anything big happen?
Tigers suck. Michael
Wow.
Fulmer had a bad game, but I mean, it's
Weren't we up
one out of
2-0?
like 2 he'll probably have. Knowing his level of pitching, he'll bounce back. And it was just one bad start, so I'm not worried about him. No brawls.
No, bro, it was like yesterday.
No, Red Sox actually came back and blew out the Yankees yesterday. So Rick Porcello had a no-hitter going in the 7th.
What a shock! It was Tigers pitcher, and we got rid of him. And look what happened.
I missed all of our pitchers.
Otherwise, nothing really interesting.
I mean, look. We had Porcello, Scherzer, Verlander, Drew Smiley at a point was okay.
He still is good. He's injured.
David Price. I don't know what it is. If we get rid of Fulmer, he'll probably become like next Scherzer or Verlander. So.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to throw Dombrowski in there. I know that's off the field, but
Yeah.
another Tiger connection.
Yeah. So you got any triple Bs? I know they said Lonzo's getting ready for the quote unquote biggest summer of his life.
No, not really. I'm just waiting for the draft for Jello. He's my favorite. Just 'cause no one likes him, so I'll like him. Just 'cause of that.
What about LaMelo?
I don't know.
You just don't care about LaMelo?
He's the
LeVar.
youngest. I'm the middle child, so I mean, gotta
Alright.
support the middle child
Alright.
children. You know, they're always neglected, so.
I feel you.
So, and Final Four we touched a little bit on yesterday, but since we have Michigan guy here, you must have been pretty disappointed with that national championship.
You know, so, yeah, obviously it wasn't the result I was hoping for. I did take an odd amount of satisfaction in the simple fact that it was clear Villanova was the best team in the nation and that U of M is, I mean, simply the second best team in the nation. So hats off to them, and it's going to be exciting to see, especially, you know, if depending on who stays and who goes at U of M, what Coach Beeline is going to be able to do with that team next year. So.
And I do like Beeline. My respect for him has gone up since the tournament, as they kept progressing in the tournament. But if Wagner goes, good luck. I couldn't. I know Isaiah Livers, I respect him. Simmons, I respect him. Robinson, I respect him. But Wagner's, I would root for Michigan in the national championship, but Wagner ruined it for me. So I mean, it's just.
What's the hate against Wagner?
He's German.
No.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
No,
You're talking to a German American here, man.
I'm
Come
German
on.
too, so I like Wagner.
but he was just too arrogant. Just the arrogant in the way that when I watched Michigan play Ohio State in the regular season, you catch the ball on a breakaway and score a layup, get fouled and one, he just stick out his tongue acting like he's the greatest thing since
playing with emotion.
Michael Jordan. So
A lot of guys play with emotion. You know the pitcher the Tigers got, Alex Faedo? That boy plays with tons of emotion.
We had Jose Valverde.
Yeah,
Oh,
again, he's another guy,
Papa
plays
Grande.
like emotion, like that's just what those guys do, like
Yeah.
that's just what they've been doing, so like, I don't know, I don't blame him, like, if I was him too, I'd score when I score a layup, like, 'cause I don't score a lot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus it gives me an excuse not to root for Michigan. So then we previewed the NHL last night, or last night's games. You're right. Capitals choked last night.
Washington doesn't get out of the first round of anything. I'm telling you, baseball, hockey, basketball, name it, they won't get out of the first round.
Football.
Yeah.
No. So and they lost 4-3 in overtime to Columbus. Boston, no surprise, beat Toronto
I watched that game.
5-1.
I swear they're about to fight.
I was hoping.
Every whistle, they were just shoving each other, throwing each other ground. I was like, just drop them already.
I predicted 2.
They
Yeah.
will. One game, they will. Them and Pittsburgh and the Flyers. Those 2 series. Expect
Yeah.
it.
Towards
Not,
the end.
not about Tampa Bay though, in New Jersey.
Not surprised with that.
Yeah, 5-2. And then we have tonight we have Vegas and LA for game 2. Vegas is up 1-0 after scoring only one goal, I should say, in their last game. So I think Vegas is going to take this one again. They'll end up sweeping LA.
No.
Well, how many
No.
games?
It'll go long. Probably 6. Just because LA, those players on LA have been to the playoffs before. They have won a Stanley Cup. Most of them's won 2, because the 2 Stanley Cups LA won. And Vegas, they're an expansion team, so like none of those guys really have playoff experience. So I say LA could probably win this in 6, even though they lost the first game.
I'll give them 6.
You like them at 6? What about you, Casey?
I'm also leaning towards LA. Simply same logic. They got the championship pedigree. I think LA in 7. I'm going for.
I like Vegas either 4 or 5, just because they have the momentum. Because they're a brand new team, they have a brand new fan base behind them. Plus, there's more excitement in Vegas because they just got their first professional basketball team there. So they have a lot of momentum going into it. So I think they'll win in either 4 or 5. We have Minnesota and Winnipeg. I like Winnipeg in game 2. Go up 2-0 before they got to go to Minnesota. So, do you like Minnesota or Winnipeg?
This series I could care less who wins, because both teams are really good. But I'd like to see Winnipeg, just because it's like that team used to be at Winnipeg. Then they went to Colorado or whatever. Now they're back in Winnipeg. So
Yeah.
I'm going with Minnesota. I'm just feeling Minnesota. I don't know why. I've just got a good feeling.
it was a close game too. Last time they played, like Minnesota almost won.
Feeling wild.
A little bit.
That was
Yeah.
bad.
A little bit. That was pretty bad. But
So yeah. Do you like Minnesota or Winnipeg?
I'm taking the home team. You gotta defend that home ice, so I'm going Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, and then Brian, who's not here, his Pittsburgh Penguins against Philadelphia in game 2. Just because how dominant Pittsburgh looked in that game, I gotta go Pittsburgh. They just looked unstoppable. But it's Philadelphia, so.
Crosby another 3 goals.
I wouldn't be surprised with that one.
I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
If not this game, eventually throughout the playoffs, he'll get another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what Pittsburgh or Philly?
Gotta take Pittsburgh. Crosby, Malkin, that whole roster. They got a lot of experience, a lot of great players, and I think they're gonna make another push for that cup.
Yeah, and then Nashville beat Colorado 5-2 the other night, and then San Jose shut out Anaheim. So I think Nashville will take it against Colorado pretty easily, and then San Jose against Anaheim, that could be easily a 6 or 7 game series. It could go either way. They're not that far from each other, so their fans will travel there and back for both the games, either at San Jose or Anaheim. So. And now we talked about the NBA yesterday on our show. Now we're going to just go a little bit more into it. Houston and Minnesota, like I said yesterday, Minnesota could make noise, but not enough to beat Houston. Not enough.
I think they could.
Maybe
Really?
1 game. 1-2 games.
I think they could win the series. Just
Really?
because
That would be huge.
That would
Houston
be huge.
has they even make it out of the first round either? The last 2 playoffs.
They got knocked out last year in the second
I know
round.
that it was second round.
Yep, San Antonio knocked them out.
Like I said, James Harden, I don't know what's up with them. He can play in the regular season. He gets to playoffs and it's just like dude, what you been doing? Like, what are you doing after the games? Or like,
But if Chris Paul plays, if James Harden has an off game, does that help him?
That'll make a difference.
it'll help them a little bit, but I think both of them have to be on if they want to win this series and go farther.
Yep.
Because right now they're the team to beat because they're the best team in the NBA.
Well, then there's the second team in the NBA, Golden State against San Antonio. I said yesterday 6 or 7 for San Antonio. It all comes down on how LaMarcus Aldridge will play, and how their bench players will play as well. San Antonio's got a deep bench. I know Golden State has a pretty deep bench, but Durant's probably the only one they should worry about. The other two they shouldn't worry about. They don't have to worry about Curry either. So, I mean, I like San Antonio. You probably like the favorite Golden State, right?
You know, so losing Curry is a huge loss, obviously. That Spurs team, I mean, they seem like they've been contending for the championship for about 20 years at this point, going way back to the David Robinson, Tim Duncan days. So Popovich, you know, I'm not going to write any team coached by him off. So I'd probably lean more towards Golden State. But I'm thinking that one is going to come down to the wire.
Say about 6 or 7 games?
You know, I would go with a full 7 on this one with that Curry loss. And, you know, it's going to be a toss-up. And I'd probably lean towards the home team in that 7th game. But, you know, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, another fun one as we get down, as the seeds get closer, is Portland and New Orleans. Like I said yesterday, I like New Orleans. I think Anthony Davis will just go off against Portland.
Good look.
Yeah,
I think it'll help.
yeah, it'll definitely help. If they had DeMarcus Cousins, I would say that without a doubt they'll win this.
Yep.
They'll win this, but since they don't, I still like New Orleans at about 6 or 7. So, I forgot, who did you say yesterday, Portland or New
No, I
Orleans?
said New Orleans.
New Orleans because of Davis?
Yeah, pretty much. He's just a beast. I mean, even though Boban was messing with him, he's still a beast.
Do you like New Orleans or Portland for this one?
So I haven't been following either of these teams that closely, so I'm going to do the passive fan choice on this one and pick the higher seed Portland Trailblazers.
All right, and then the next one is the closest seeding, 4 and 5, Oklahoma City and Utah. Said yesterday, Westbrook will come alive, Paul George will come alive, Melo will come alive. They'll run away from Utah very quickly. So Utah's not ready yet. They got in, but they're not ready to go. So we'll definitely see. And in the East is Toronto and Washington. Like you said, Washington never makes it out of the first round of anything. So
I don't.
I know all of us here said Toronto. Do you like number 1 seed?
I'm going with Toronto on this
Yeah.
one. They've been doing it all year long, playing consistent. I think they'll take care of business.
And then Boston will probably take care of business against Milwaukee as well. Pretty easily. And Philly and Miami. I think Philly has enough to win 1 series, but not enough to keep going. Just a playoff series win for that city will mean a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the year that they've had.
I mean, that, and to look back, what was it, just 2 seasons ago, the 76ers had one of the worst years of all time in the NBA. Now to be a 3 seed, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. And potentially, and what they can actually get to build that team even higher is pretty dangerous. And the team that's been on top of everything for the last couple of years, Cleveland, I think this is the end. This is the end for them. This is it for LeBron, for Cleveland.
You know, I'll believe it when I see it. I still think LeBron, you know, he is LeBron. He's definitely getting older, but I mean, in terms of unstoppable players that I've ever watched, he is right at the very top. So we'll see if Indiana can hold him in check, but you know, he has taken over series single-handedly before, and it wouldn't shock me if he did it again.
But I don't think that Cleveland's poised enough to make a deep playoff run. Not this year. last year they did, obviously, but I think this is the beginning of the end.
They've definitely been in turmoil this year, and that whole Isaiah Thomas trade didn't seem to really work out, obviously, with him already on the Lakers. But yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
Yep, and playoffs start on Saturday, start tomorrow, so that should be fun. So before we go, Casey, we got a couple questions for you about your time at Michigan. When you're done kicking for Michigan, did you ever think about going pro in the NFL, CFL arena, or even overseas if someone called your name?
So yeah, I had a very short dream post-college career about possibly playing in the next level, and something I try and always apply in all aspects of my life is objectivity. And it seemed to me that for me to have a shot in the NFL, I would have had to been kicking at my absolute best just to give myself a competitive chance. And unfortunately, at the time, I needed to be doing it to give myself that chance in the league. I was not kicking my best, and I coincidentally also got a decent job offer and figured I would begin trying to educate and coach others and pay it forward to the next generation, which has allowed me to meet great young men like you.
Yeah, it's been fun training with you, and can't wait to do it Sunday. So it's going to be fun. So you got something?
Yeah, over your career at Michigan, you've played alongside Chad Henning, Mario Manningham, and Jake Long. And were you friends with them? And do you still talk to them?
I haven't talked to any of those guys in quite some time, but back when we were undergrads, yeah, we were, obviously a pretty tight-knit team that Coach Carr oversaw. Of those three guys, I probably hung out with Jake the most. All, exceptional players, great competitors, really good people. But yeah, it's been too long. I need to get back to some of our old reunions. I don't do well enough keeping in touch with everyone.
So lost the Rose Bowl in 2006, but won the Orange Bowl in 2007. What was the adjustment like between those two seasons?
So you're a little off. It wasn't the Orange
Was
Bowl. It was the Capital One Bowl the Orange Bowl, I believe. And the second part was what? I'm sorry, the adjustment?
How was the adjustment between those two seasons?
That 2007 it was Rose Bowl. That was the year we had started off 11-0 and then lost to Ohio State in the final game of the regular season, and then played a really good USC team in that Rose Bowl. And then the following year we had come in, very highly touted and had a couple losses right at the beginning of the year, most famously or infamously to App State. So that season didn't get off on the note anyone, especially myself and the other guys on the team, had anticipated. And going into that Capital One game against Florida, who had won the national championship the year before, had Tim Tebow, Heisman winner that year. It was a change of pace being the underdog entering that game. I remember ESPN had ranked it as, a Florida win being one of their most highly expected wins of the bowl season. And, going in with that, I think extra chip on her shoulder, knowing how good our team really was, and, due to various circumstances, not really having lived up to the potential, I think, that whole year, I think really helped motivate the team. And then, in my opinion, the cherry on top was Coach Carr's last game. So we had known going into it was going to be the last time he ever coached. And, I think I can speak for pretty much every guy in that team and every person in that program. Coach Carr is beloved. Still to this day, I think back on so many of the lessons he has bestowed upon me. So when we got to go in there and have the opportunity to send him out with a win in his last game, I think that helped make sure that we were preparing as if it were the national championship game. So that was probably the most fun game I've ever been a part of in my whole life. So it was an awesome experience.
You mentioned Lloyd Carr, and you played under Lloyd Carr. You also played under Coach Rich Rod, too. And what was, how tough was it for the team to make the transition between, legendary guy like Lloyd Carr to Coach Rich Rod?
Yeah, it was massively different. Coach Rodriguez came in, obviously from West Virginia. It was a total culture change. It probably couldn't get much different between the two programs that had been run. So, I wish Coach Rod well.
You hit a 50-yard field goal that's your career long in 2008?
That's correct.
And how did you feel before the kick and after the kick?
So that's an interesting question. After the kick, I definitely remember, so my holder, who was also our punter on the team, Zoltan Mesko. Zoltan, it's funny, going back to Mo Wagner, something about Wagner really reminds me of Zoltan. I think it's their just genuine, I would describe it as exuberance. I know you were saying arrogance a little bit, but I remember after I hit it, I think Zoltan, he was the one who really got me fired up, and he gave me let's chest bump this out, and we got a little, special teams kind of mid-air chest bump going. I got some photo of that. My feet are, foot off the ground, not showing the vertical that much, but yeah, going out, like I tell all the guys, Aaron and the others that I coach is, your coaches are going to put you on the field in opportunities to succeed. So whether it's a 50-yard field goal or, a point after, you just go out, you do the same thing you've done in practice and in all the other games leading up to it, and you just focus on the process and try and stay present in that moment in time. So you just do what you've done countless times to the best of your ability, and have confidence that your preparation will pay off. And doesn't always pay off, but it was fun that on that one, nice little 50-yarder, I got to kick during the few warm weeks that we have here in Michigan, since that was at the beginning of the year. It was fun to get that one under the belt, and fun experience.
This one's, not as fun as that one, but you were part of the biggest upset in probably college football history. What was, the atmosphere in the locker room, after the game? How are you feeling, and how was Coach Carr, feeling?
That whole, week after, I think, it wasn't anything anyone, I think objectively, I don't think anyone in the world, aside from probably that Appalachian State team, which, again, great team. Won many national championships, won it again that year, and had really not a great 1AA team, a very good just football team, period. But yeah, we were certainly not expecting that outcome, and I think myself and others, it was almost like you're in this daze of you never saw that coming, and unfortunately we didn't bounce back enough, and we went into the big house against another excellent football team that following Saturday, Oregon, who had Dennis Dixon and Jonathan Stewart, and they whooped us pretty bad. So we did not bounce back and put that loss behind us. So a lot of lessons can be learned from that App State game, I think.
Jonathan Stewart used to be a Carolina guy.
Yep, I'm a Panthers guy.
Yeah, beast of a player. And I'm just going to put it out there. I think had Dennis Dixon not got hurt that season, you guys might be too young to remember because that was a long time ago. But Dennis Dixon, had a pretty severe knee injury, and in my opinion, we'll never know, I think he would have won the Heisman. I think Oregon would have won the national championship that year. They were firing on all cylinders when they came into the Big House, and they made us pay for it.
Yeah, and shout out to Sam Martin for Appalachian State. So,
Yep.
And one last question: we asked our guest yesterday, and she agreed with us. Do you believe that college athletes should be paid?
So it's a really tricky question to answer fairly. When you see big programs, U of M, and a lot of other very large, Division I programs that are bringing in millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult for me to see how the labor, being the players, does not come away with money. And you see other people getting paid massive salaries. In my opinion, I think it's a lot more difficult to answer because most college athletes and most college athletic programs don't make an absurd amount of money. So where can the parity be? Is it something where these massive schools like U of M, the Ohio States of the world, Texas, if there was some separate division that was made, perhaps, but that's a tough one. I think we should start with free tuition in college for all athletes first, go from there, and see how it plays out.
Yeah, they're starting to do that a little bit.
Mhm.
I know Michigan's starting to do that a little bit. State's starting to do it. Some Michigan schools, some schools out of Michigan are starting to do that a little bit. Dip their feet into it. So we'll see in the future. Hopefully, we don't have to pay for college.
Yeah.
So that'd be nice. So, and that's all we got for this week. Casey, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
And we hope to see you again next season. Be a guest next year.
Be my honor, guys.
So, and we'll be back next week. As always,